everyone, my name is Daniel and I'm just a casual racer, and today we're in Le Mans Ultimate. I want to thank Motorsports Games for once again sending me over a preview copy so I could show you all this. At the moment, the latest DLC pack. This is the 4th DLC pack has released. One thing I want to note about this pack, I think this update is more remarkable, and the things I want to cover are more included in the for free options that are given than are actually included in. This is relatively a small DLC pack. The $7.50 update includes the Aston Martin GT3 car I'm driving, and then also includes the Porsche GT3 car. So if you're really into Aston Martin, really into GT3 car, pricing is reasonable. That works out to $375 a car. You know, I've always said I think content generally tracks cars. It's around $4 mark is what I think a lot of the content is worth as a creator myself. And you get a pack of 2, you get a little discount. Pricing makes sense. The bigger thing though is, right, Le Mans Ultimate needs tracks more than cars. And one of the suggestions I made, one way you can address that is by having track layouts, not necessarily just a bunch of new tracks. You just need to be able to provide the variety to race on. And boy, has Le Mans Ultimate and Motorsport Games delivered. We now have a bunch of new layouts. I mean, we have over half a dozen. We have 3, I believe, at least 3 layouts just here at Bahrain. Some of the tracks don't have it. It's actually kind of interesting. A lot of the DLC tracks, only Coda of the 3 has an alternative layout. Interlagos and Imola do not. But in terms of the actual, like, Sebring now has their school layout. We have multiple layouts here at Bahrain. We have Le Mans without any of the long Mulsanne straight. Just fly down that. We have Monza without the turn 1 chicane. There are just some smaller variations as well, of course. Like I said, the Sebring is a much different layout. We have the Coda shorter layout. That's very different. And then, of course, all the different layouts here, some of which are quite drastically different in the over race. Right now, I'm overall normal layout. Right now, I'm racing on the outer circuit, which was actually held one Grand Prix event back in 2020 in Formula 1. And I've always kind of been fascinated by this layout. It's a fast, it's a quick lap. And so we're going to turn a lot of laps here. And it'll be very interesting to see, you know, how this races, the strategies that change for people on such a fast circuit. And so this is the kind of stuff that really makes me excited when they're listening to the feedback that, you know, YouTubers, creators, fan base, the community overall is giving to Motorsport Games, and they're listening to that and incorporating it. Because sure, I get it, licenses are expensive, making a lot of tracks expensive. You can make a ton of layouts though, and that's what they're doing. That is just awesome. It's free. The Ford Mustang directly ahead of me, free. So like, download Le Mans Ultimate and just download all this free stuff, try the game out. I'll be honest too, it just continues to be more refined. I remember when I first got the game, sometimes you'd have weird selection issues when choosing like the length of the race and stuff. That stuff is so polished now, feels so good. I was reading, I don't know who posted this, I was reading an article or watching a video about how so many people from ACC, maybe it was Gamer Muscle, yeah, it probably was him, that was saying how people are moving from like Assetto Corsa Competizione over to Le Mans Ultimate for their online racing with GT3 cars. And it makes total sense to me. I recently did a top 10 GT3 racing games video, and boom, it's literally Assetto Corsa Competizione. Wow, my goodness, that was a crazy move. Not trying to do that. What was I saying? Le Mans Ultimate and Assetto Corsa Competizione are right at the top right now. They're contenders. They're fighting for that top position. And the difference is Le Mans Ultimate is just beginning its development cycle, and it's right there at the top, which is kind of crazy. Plus, you have more car options with the hypercars, and you have LMP2 cars if you want to throw those back into the mix and have a nice big diverse grid to race at. All the major endurance racing venues. Le Mans Ultimate is a really good game at this point, and they're doing the right things. And so I'm going to say this right now. Absolutely great little DLC. Reasonably priced. Good I absolutely love this Aston Martin. It's an amazing car. But the best things about this update are the free included content. That's the best thing, which it doesn't get any better than that. And I would say if you're looking to buy some content, at this point, if you haven't got the season pass, I think a lot of people, it's time to pull the trigger. I haven't recommended it yet. I haven't recommended it yet because I hadn't seen the content. And, you know, with Motorsports Games financial issues that have always been going around, big worry. They have delivered. It's time to buy the season pass if you haven't already kind of bought other DLC or you're playing this game a lot. It's time. I fully recommend it at this point. I know it's a little weird in the pricing. It's $50 for the DLC, $38 for the game. In my opinion, they should have done it, maybe it was like $40 or $50 for the game. Add a couple of these tracks or cars, some of this content to the base game, like some of these GT3 cars. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it is time, and I can give a recommendation for going all in. Now, not everyone can afford a $50 season pass. So I would say, this is my one advice, is I would say the last update, the third DLC in December, that included Interlagos and 3 GT3 cars, it's probably my big recommendation. Let's jump into the next race here. Actually, before we do that, let me show you some of the new content we have here. So, not every circuit has alternative layouts. So we're at Algarve, Imola, Interlagos. Spa-Francorchamps has a pit option. It's that endurance layout start. Not a huge difference. Fuji has a chicane. All right, and now kind of more of the significant updates. So we have the school layout for Sebring. I mentioned Fuji has kind of the classic circuit, just changes that one chicane. Circuit of the Americas, the national circuit. Wow, that looks quite a bit different. 24 Hours of Le Mans with the Mulsanne straight through. That is going to be fun. And here we're at Bahrain. We got the endurance layout. Crazy, a lot of extra turns. Outer circuit. And even this paddock circuit. That looks very different as well. And then Monza, we have the, without the first chicane, the Curva Grande circuit. So there are a lot of new circuits that if you count everything, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure, we'll count this. 6, 7, 8, 9 new layouts, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tracks total if you have all the DLC. So they've almost doubled the amount of layouts and content they have. Alrighty, let's see. What should we jump in on? What's kind of a more unique? I mean, this one looks very different as well. I have never driven this layout in any game. This is the only DLC that's not included in the base game. So I'm going to jump in and show you this, because this might give you an idea, because I do feel like this gives you a better value now to that second DLC pack that was released in September with the Circuit of the Americas here, and had the Alpine and the Soda Fraschini. Those hypercars, and hypercars, there's not a ton of them, so adding a few more could be cool. So if you're looking at maybe a DLC and you're kind of tight on your budget, maybe this second layout, this is the only DLC track. I mean, obviously, I think my go-to is the one here, but there is some value, I think, in getting some more hypercars. And so let's jump in, and I've not driven this yet. I've never driven the national layout ever. So let's jump in, and I will be jumping in on the Ford is free, so it's not a huge deal, right? Everyone can test that if you have the game. So let's do Porsche here. Alrighty, so we're now going to be racing here at the Circuit of America's National Circuit, and driving in this Porsche, jumping in here, going to feel differences here. I'm expecting, whereas I like the Aston Martin, I like the Mercedes GT3 cars generally in any racing game. I like a little more of the understeer characteristic, a stable car. You can be a little bit late on the brakes, a lot of power coming out of the corner. Porsches generally have kind of that oversteer characteristic. They're a little more nimble. So we'll see if this one's a bit more like a Viper and bites your head off, or if it's a little more tame. There's definitely different versions of Porsche, or different games. Yep, a little bit more oversteer. Oh yeah, way more oversteer characteristic for sure. Bad though. Pretty nicely balanced. I love the way almost every single car in this game drives. Alright, so we're going here now. Then we're coming back around out here. Wow, that's very different. Really changes the flow. Wow. Yeah, that feels really different. I might like this layout better than the normal. Not a huge fan of the Circuit of Americas. This ain't bad though. Keeps you in one of the more interesting parts of the circuit, in my opinion. Also makes the lap short. Quite a long lap normally. Yeah, so this car feels really good. It's a good combination too. Very twisty track here. And this is a good way to test this out. Yeah, this feels really good. I actually really like this Porsche, the way this drives. I gotta say that both these cars, in my opinion, are really, really good, as is almost every piece of content in Le Mans Ultimate. This might be the best modern racing game out there. I don't know. In terms of physics, in terms of the overall experience, I really hope that Motorsports Games is able to financially continue to support this game at the full level, perhaps even with, you know, really boosting the amount of tracks they can bring in the future. That would be so huge. There's something special about this title. Really was, I think, stripping back R Factor 2 and stripping out the excess and trimming it down, focusing it, getting a big license in the most popular kind of racing for, you know, sim racing. It was genius. Really is so much potential with this title. This is fantastic. I am enjoying myself right now. Yep. Looking to the future. Ooh, that was a mistake. Looking to the future with Le Mans Ultimate, right? So what's coming up next for the... So obviously they didn't include a track, which they wanted to. So in May, they're going to have another DLC, which is going to have a track. It's going to be the Qatar track, and it's going to have 2 GT3 cars. So pretty good. And then they'll have pretty much all the actual endurance venues that are in the Le Mans Endurance Series. And 2 more GT3 cars. So have a nice big GT3 field of cars. I'm very interested. I think Qatar could be a really fun layout. I wonder if there's an alternative layout. I think there is. Not that different, though, I don't believe. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting layout. Feels a little bit like Bahrain, just a little different. You know, kind of that classic, the good kind of tilted tracks, in my opinion. Yeah, this car handles this corner is fantastic. Oof. And it's still a Porsche. Yeah, but it's also predictable. Like I know why it tried to bite me, because I was too aggressive. I took advantage of its, you know, ability to take corners so nicely. If you go too far, it's not going to necessarily stop you. It's just going to start biting you a little bit. You got to know how to back off, and you can catch it, which I was able to do, and that felt really, really good. Feels so nice on the brakes. Yeah, and then, so, in addition, in the May update, they're going to have custom liveries, but those are going to be tied. You have to be a member. I don't hate that at all. That, to me, sounds pretty fair. Some things should be tied to... There should be ways that a company, especially like in sim racing, where you don't have the huge... It's not like shooter games where you can have massive, massive fan bases that can just support you through anything, practically. You got to be creative with coming up ways to produce revenue. To produce revenue without the appearance of screwing over your fans and the community. I think that's reasonably fair. Custom livery is tied behind. You have to have the subscription. Additionally, though, for everybody, there's going to be driver swaps. There's going to be team management components. It looks a little bit like they're setting the stage for a pretty cool kind of career mode, perhaps, or at least a really kind of cool custom season mode or season mode, that championship mode, however you want to put it. And I think the groundwork's being laid for something really awesome. It looks cool, and you can go over to the Le Mans Ultimate website and learn more about that update that's going to be coming up in May. So that's exciting. Yeah, overall, as we come to the end of this race here, maybe we got one more lap, I'm not sure. But overall, I have to give, you know, price-wise, this update makes sense. I just think the overall, the free content and everything makes Le Mans Ultimate kind of show, okay, the proof's in the pudding now. Time to throw your support. If you enjoy Le Mans Ultimate, my recommendation is now, go ahead, buy that season pass. Time to throw our full support behind this title, because it just keeps getting more and more amazing. They keep listening to what the community has to say. What else can you want, right? So, I think this is going to be the premier modern sim racing title for GT3, endurance racing. They have the best licenses. They got all the major endurance racing venues. Everything is done in extremely high quality and on a polished and kind of bug-free R Factor 2 engine. Doesn't get much better than that, right? Gonna come around here and finish up this race. Where did I manage to work myself up to? I'm in 10th. Around a few more cars here. Yeah, this really is a fun combination. I'm enjoying this more than the normal Circuit of the Americas. I'm sure I'll spend some time next week diving in and exploring every one of these circuits when I have some free time. It isn't always a lot. I'm always developing mods or whatever, and we got, you know, other projects in the work where we're doing a lot of outsourcing support for other games studios, you know, like Motorsports Games, for example. Love to actually work with them. That'd be awesome. Here we go, coming around to the end of this circuit. What a fantastic experience. It's so nice when you get something right, and it just, like, you see a game like this that is actually being supported. Remember when Motorsport Games had the NASCAR game? It was just a disaster. It never got better. This restores my faith in Motorsport Games, and most of all, I believe Le Mans Ultimate is going to be an amazing game. Hope you guys check it out. I think I've said everything I need to say about the DLC and my overall view on how the game is evolving. These awesome 9 new alternative layouts across the 10 tracks here. It's fantastic. Give my props to the Le Mans Ultimate development team. But most of all, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week.